pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And please remain standing for a moment of silence. I'd ask that you keep in your thoughts and prayers the brave servicemen and women serving our country, both here and abroad. Thank you. Please be seated. Would the clerk call the roll?
Councilman Mineta. Here. Councilman Martinez.
Here.
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 Here. Supervisor Schaefer.
And I am here. So all five are present. We have a quorum. This is the April 23rd, 2025 meeting of the Babylon Town Board. If you're here for your first time, the meeting is divided up into three sections. The first is dedicated to the public hearings, and there are two public hearings scheduled for today. So if you're interested in addressing the board on either of the public hearings, we ask that you fill out a card up front and file with our town clerk. Second portion is dedicated to the agenda, and there are agendas on the table up front. So if you're interested in addressing the board on any of the items listed on the agenda for that, we ask you to fill out a card as well. And the third portion is the open portion, when residents can come forward and address the board on any matter concerning town government or town services that is not on today's agenda. If you're watching us on our YouTube channel live at 3 p.m. on the 23rd, you can use the link on the YouTube channel. That'll take you to today's agenda. You can also submit a comment, question, or concern, and one of us will get back to you. If you're watching us at a future day and time, that link is still live, and you're able to access and send a comment, question, or concern in, and we will get into that. So with that, we'll go into the... I know. I figured they were wrong. Yeah. There you go. The right glasses there. We'll get into the agenda and the public hearings. Public hearing reference to amending the Code of the Town of Babylon, Chapter 213, zoning, Article 16, tobacco and cannabis. Don't have any cards, so I'll take a motion. Close and reserve by Councilman Mineta, second by Councilman Martinez. All is in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hearing is closed. Decision reserved. Second public hearing is a public hearing on designating the premises known as 1531 Straight Path, Wyandanch, New York, 11798, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 0100-58-4-6 and 31, a public nuisance, authorizing the boarding up of said premises and authorizing the town attorney to commence litigation. Is Mr. Guarino here? Oh, Mr. Rosario. I'm sorry.
Good afternoon, Supervisor Schaefer. Good afternoon, Council. We were previously discussed the property 1531 Straight Path in Wyandanch at various issues at that location concerning a nuisance, as declaring that property a nuisance property.
And we've already submitted for the record the two arrests.
Yes, the arrests
that were noticed and submitted for the public record during the last hearing, which was on April 9th.
Yeah, and one of the requests from the council, as well as yourself, Supervisor, was to meet with the attorney and the owners of the property, which a few weeks ago we did meet. The council who's here.
Did that take place after the first public hearing?
It did. It did. We met here at Town Hall to discuss some various inquiries that the owner and council had made. Again, council's here if he wants to speak on his client's behalf in terms of what they looked into.
We're going to ask him to present to us. We had asked for a plan.
Yes.
So we're going to ask him to do that, but I just wanted to confirm that a meeting was held.
A meeting was held.
Between the town attorney's office and the council for the property owner?
That is correct.
Okay. And was there anything discussed or agreed upon at that meeting?
Well, what was advised to us from council was that the property owner had looked into a security company with recommendations of necessitating two security personnel armed, and also that they would require body armor to help with the security of the location.
And was anything decided or agreed upon?
Nothing was decided. They were going to look further into, because it was going to be costly. My understanding is they had discussions with other businesses on that, in that vicinity, which all said they were not interested in contributing. We also discussed the possibility of fencing off the property, which they've asked if that would be something that the fire marshal would be okay with. The fire marshal was consulted, and that is something that can be done without issue with the fire marshal or fire department.
Okay. Anything else?
Well, that area has continued monitoring by our staff. There continues to be issues. There continues to be outward crime going on there, urinating in public, and all sorts of things, drinking and hanging out, and all sorts of stuff.
On the subject property?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And we also have a witness here. Lead investigator Edwin Salas is here if the board wishes to hear from him.
Sure. Yeah, we would like to.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Salas?
How are you?
Good. Just state your name,
Sure. Edwin Salas,
and you are?
a town investigator for the town of Babylon.
Okay.
So, God bless you. As Mr. Rosario said, we've continued to monitor the location over the last 2 weeks. We receive complaints on a daily basis specific to the property, 1531 Straight Path. Our investigators have gone there. I myself have gone there every day. We continue to see day and night individuals hanging out, urinating on the property. Appears to be drug sales and drug usage as well on the property in the back.
Have you confirmed that they're drug sales?
There have been arrests previously there for drug activity. Myself and the investigators in our team all have spent time in our law enforcement career prior to this in narcotics, and the activity is conducive of what we've seen for drug sales and drug usage taking place at the property. We have videos of individuals smoking what appears to be crack cocaine on the property, and individuals what appears to be engaging in drug transactions on the property as well.
So you have videos that you took of these activities?
No, we have videos that have been submitted to us by complainants on the block. We have videos and pictures from our staff of individuals in the last 2 days drinking alcohol on the property, urinating on the property, and just loitering on the property.
Okay. Anything else you wish to add?
One thing, I was there yesterday, I did notice that one of the store owners was there trying to engage and get these individuals to move off the property, but it didn't seem responsive. They moved from where they were, but continued to loiter on the property, and those same individuals were there again this morning.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you. Would the attorney for the...
Good afternoon,
Good afternoon.
distinguished members of the board. So,
And just state your name and address.
yes, certainly. My name is Anthony Grandinetti. My office is located at 1200 Veterans Memorial Highway in Hopewell, New York. Good afternoon. So, Supervisor Schaefer, after I appeared at a last appearance, which was March 26, 2025, I indicated to you gentlemen it was the first time that I had been aware of the specifics of these allegations. And I agreed that my clients and I would cooperate in any manner we possibly could to help improve the condition at my client's address. Because my client, of course, can only, control to a certain extent what happens on his particular property. And I
Sorry, say that
indicate
again?
my client can only control to a certain degree what transpires on his property.
And what's your definition of to a certain
Well,
degree?
if you don't mind, sir, if I could please briefly respond to these broad allegations and let the...
Sure, but let me just,
Sure.
before you do that, just give me your definition of the term to a certain degree.
Well, In other words, there are certain things done by third parties that my client does not have control over outside the four corners of his property. So, for example, on a public sidewalk, he can do certain things such as install signs to prohibit loitering and drinking in public, which should, to the average citizen, deter an individual from loitering or drinking in public. My client can fence his property, which he did, and illuminate the property at personal expense with high voltage illuminating lights to deter people from loitering and engaging in criminal activity, because most criminals do not want to be observed when they engage in criminal activity. And by spending that money and also installing a very expensive, sophisticated 15-camera video system that is utilized both in the rear of his property, which is totally fenced in, and the front of his property, my client has been able to help Suffolk County enforce the laws, at least the penal laws of the state of New York. I do not know from your investigators in the town whether or not they have town ordinances prohibiting loitering, if they have town ordinances prohibiting the consumption of alcohol, or if they have town ordinances prohibiting urinating in public. I would assume if they're employees of the town and they witnessed this conduct and they were present when this happened, that they would have issued summonses and they would prosecute these people accordingly. I have met after our last meeting with town representatives, specifically Mr. Rosario as well as Jerry Guarino. And what I asked them was, the gentleman, please define how it is that I might be able to help you with my clients solve your problem. And they gave me 3 specific agenda items previous to our meeting 5 days out from the date I appeared. Those 3 specific things were to solicit from the 5 neighboring businesses, 1, whether or not they would install exterior video systems to help deter criminal conduct. 2, would they post signage on their properties to help deter loitering and the consumption of alcoholic beverages. 3, would we pursue the neighboring businesses and solicit financial assistance or contribution from them all to help for the cost of potentially hiring a private security firm? And then, 4 items, to seek the cost that would be necessary to hire a licensed New York State security firm to patrol the areas to help deter criminal activity and loitering in the area. Within 5 days, we accomplished all that. We went to each individual business and we reported those findings at a meeting on March 31st, 2025. And sadly, we had to report to both Mr. Rosario and Mr. Guarino that none of the companies were willing to contribute a nickel to hiring a security firm. Only one of the 5 businesses was willing to install exterior video cameras and possibly post, do not trespass and non-consumption alcoholic beverages. Now, we also brought to their attention that my client, unlike the other business owners, had taken the time and the expense to fence in his entire property, and that we were very, very uncomfortable with locking that at night because of a potential fire hazard. And we specifically requested, please solicit the fire marshal, give us written permission. If we have written permission from the fire marshal, we'll lock the gate, we'll provide a key to the fire department. We just don't want to be in violation of any fire ordinances, especially because those buildings are all connected. After our meeting, at our meeting, I also provided a written estimate from a security company. We solicited 3 estimates. Only one company came down to meet with us. That company surveyed the property. They spoke to the local law enforcement unit, the patrol unit that was there, and then they reported back to us with a price of what it would cost to hire this security firm. First of all, their conditions to us were that they would have to have 2 armed guards, given the circumstances in the prevailing neighborhood, and that those armed guards would also have to have bulletproof vests. The cost, gentlemen, was $125 per hour per guard, plus rental expenses for a bulletproof vest. The expenses would amount to a total of $57,400 per month, excluding taxes and additional insurance that my client would have to take out for possible liability in the event that my client arrested somebody or the security firm hired by my client arrested somebody and was sued for false arrest or malicious prosecution. I took the time to outline in detail, and I have 5 copies here, a letter to the members of the board, and I'd like to hand them up if possible so you gentlemen have them all to show you exactly what we did and
Just
the
hand them
time-
up through the clerk.
Sure. And the time that we spent on this, because my client is very concerned that this board or members of the community believe that they are in any way contributing to problems in the community. It has been their desire and their aim and their steadfast goal to deter it, not to encourage it. And I'm very proud to say that in part of that submission, there is a petition with over 100 signatures on it. I have an updated petition for you gentlemen today. I just have to copy it with another 87 names on it. I don't know how many people have complained, and I'm sure, given the circumstances, if I lived in the neighborhood, I would not be pleased. But you should all know that there are close to 200 people in a short period of time that have signed a petition stating to you all that the owner of the building and the owner of the premises are men of character, and they are very grateful that their establishment is in the community and providing a great service, and they would ask you to take that into consideration. That in their opinion, being there on a daily basis in this community, they do not observe my clients contributing in any way to the detriment of the community. Now, I have asked in writing of the town attorney on multiple occasions, verbally and in writing, for evidence of any of the allegations subject to this public hearing. And I have not received anything. I haven't received a video, I haven't received a picture, I haven't received notice of who's making the complaints. I can't go talk to these people and ask them, what is it about my client's property at 15, my client's property specifically that your complaint is about? My understanding is that...
Wait, let me just make sure I understand. You're looking for the name of who's complaining?
I would ask for any evidence.
Oh, evidence?
Any evidence, anything... that-
Okay, so today is April 23rd, correct?
Today is, yes.
April 23rd of 2025, right?
Right.
Okay, I just wanted to clarify that. Mr. Rosario, did you want to add something?
Yes, I do, actually, just to respond.
Well, why don't we let him
Counsel-
finish?
Okay.
Yeah, if I could please finish.
You can finish.
Okay.
I can't wait.
And sir, I say what
No,
I'm...
I'm excited about
Okay.
you finishing.
Okay, well, I understand, but I think it's important that we hear...
Oh, it's very important.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, no, extremely important.
In addition, when we left the public meeting on the 26th, there was a police officer here, he was a sergeant.
Yes.
And we were assured that the sergeant would either appear personally or that he would have a member of the police department present at the meeting. And because of the specific invaluable knowledge that they have of the criminal activity in the area. Okay. Sadly, the police department never appeared. They never provided any guidance with respect to any statistical information or their efforts on trying to cut back on the criminal element in the community. On the 27th,
Sorry, wait, what did you just say?
I said that they were unable to provide any statistical data or any information to us to try to help us resolve any of the loitering or any of the criminal activity that takes place in the area. I wrote Inspector Forte of the First Department. He's the commanding officer of the First Precinct. I wrote him 5 days in advance of this meeting. I CC'd the sergeant that was present. I asked them please to be present or at least present data for us to participate in this meeting.
Data of what?
Data of criminal activity
Okay.
and other information relating to what's going on in the area so that we could collectively understand it better and try to resolve
So
it.
are you saying that your client doesn't understand what's going on there?
What I'm saying, sir,
Again, I'm asking you.
with all due respect,
No, forget about the due respect.
well, no, it's important.
No,
that
it's not
said.
important.
It is.
Listen to me.
Okay,
Listen to me.
I am.
Stop with the drama.
I'm
okay?
not, it's sure, it's not
Stop,
drama.
please, stop
That
with the
we're
drama.
making a record here.
I know
We're
you're making a
here.
record, and I'm going to make a record also.
Okay.
Because you're going to have an awesome record after we get done with what the action we're going to take today. And for the next 30 days, you're going to get an awesome record that you're going to spend a lot of time doing and billing your clients, reviewing, and defending them against that.
Well, sir-
Or you're going to be able to solve this. So I just wanted to clarify, are your clients not aware of what is going on their property?
Sure, if I got my client's phone records and told you the number of times they called the police...
No,
for-
that wasn't the
No, but
question.
yes, of course they're aware that in the...
No, but you're saying that you need data to figure out what's going on.
Right, right.
But what I'm asking you is, are they aware of what's going on their property? You said before, they're responsible for the four corners of their property, correct?
No, what I said is they can, to a certain degree, control the four corners of their property. If they post a guard out...
But they, as the property owners...
Yes.
...are responsible for what goes on the four corners of their property.
To a degree, sir.
And what do you mean by to a degree?
Well, let me give you an example. If we have a Target store and a drug deal goes on in the parking lot of Target, is Target responsible? Is the corporation responsible under the law? No. If there is a scenario where my clients can control third-party behavior to a degree, then I would agree with you. And we're here to assist.
Do you know
in
how
that
long
effort.
this has been going on?
Sir, I know that my client has owned this business and
For
this
how long?
building for a substantial period of time.
For how long?
For years.
What does years
And
mean?
well, I'd have to inquire of him so I'm accurate.
Well, why don't you ask him?
I will. How long has the business being operated? I've been there for 2 years. Okay, 2? Yeah. Okay, 24 months.
24 months, and you did not own the building before that?
The building owner is also here.
So the building owner has owned the building since 2022, and the business owner has owned the business for the past 2 years.
Yes.
Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
Okay, I wanted that on the record.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay, so for the past 2 years,
Right.
or since 2022, they're not aware of what's going on there?
No, sir. I've explained that my client has repeatedly called the Suffolk County Police for assistance. The whole reason, and if you read my
But the
submission...
Suffolk County Police don't own the property.
Sir, if you could please let me finish. My clients do not...
Go ahead and finish, Mr.
Okay, my
Grandin.
clients don't have authority to lock anybody up. And
But they have the authority to control their property.
But if it's criminal behavior, sir, on their
But
property...
they have they
can I-
have the authority to control their property.
Sir, I don't want to repeat myself, but to the reasonable
repeat
degree
yourself.
that we've discussed, they have some control, and at the suggestion, after calling the police on multiple occasions, the police give them assistance. The police said, we don't have enough manpower, we don't have enough staff, we can't help you. But here's our suggestion. Install video cameras, post signs, because if you post a sign that says do not loitering or don't drink in public, then we can make an arrest if there's a violation. So my client does call, and they did take those steps. Unlike any other property owner, I don't understand why my client is being singled out from a row of 5 stores, and it's...
Your client is not being singled
Judge,
out.
sir, with all
Do you represent these other business
I
owners?
do not, but
Do you know if there are any pending matters against them?
there's not, and it's...
No, do you know that? How do you know that?
Well, in my
How
conversation...
do you know that? You just
I
represent...
took the representations of your town attorney to heart.
How do you know what's gone on since March 26th?
I don't know. They told
Correct,
me
you
that
don't know,
they-
and that's why, again, if we're correcting the record and making the record,
Right.
okay,
Okay.
you don't know.
Oh, can you fill me in?
You don't know. It's not the subject of this hearing today.
But sir, okay. If
Mr.
that's
Grandinetti,
your
finish
position,
up your presentation.
I will.
Okay.
In my written report, in my written request or letter
Yep.
to Commissioner Forte, I also volunteered
He's
my...
Inspector Forte.
Inspector Forte.
Right, I know, it doesn't matter to you. Go
It
on.
does matter, sir.
Go on.
It matters greatly.
Go on.
And I did not want this to be a contentious discussion.
Finish up your presentation.
Okay. So Inspector Forte, I wrote him a letter and I asked
We know,
him...
we saw it.
Would you... Okay, then if you saw it, I asked him that my client would volunteer his property for a Suffolk County Police Department stanchion and lighting that we thought would be an economically feasible alternative to help to some degree to deter this conduct. And I, again, have not heard back from them, but my client volunteered. So if the subject of the hearing today is, what has my client done? What is my
Well,
client
we've asked
willing
you
to
for
do?
that update
Right,
today.
and I'm giving it to you. In addition, since we didn't hear back from the Suffolk County Police Department, we took it upon ourselves to get some estimates. And unfortunately, those estimates are also exceedingly expensive. To place a mobile 6-month agreement from May 1st to November 1st to get optical cameras and floodlights and strobe lights and notification that you're trespassing or on property that we asked Suffolk County to employ if they didn't have the money for the manpower. The cost for that would be $15,900 for every 6-month period. And again, we're not getting any offers of monetary contribution from any of the other store owners.
Do any of the store owners own that property?
I don't know if they own their property. I
No,
didn't check the
owns
tax.
the property in question.
Well, I haven't.
Who owns the property in question?
The property in question, if you're talking about my client's
The
property,
property that's subject of this public...
1531, it's owned by Jose Arena. Mr. Arena is here. He
Yes.
introduced himself on the last occasion.
Right.
But the conduct that's being complained of is not isolated to my client's property.
It's on your client's property.
I would like to see some evidence of
Okay,
that.
you're going to get your...
Okay.
Mr. Rosario, sit down, please.
In addition,
You're going to get your evidence.
okay,
Yep.
that's fine.
You're
But
going to get your evidence.
so I
Finish
have.
up your presentation.
I'm sorry.
Finish up your presentation.
Okay. I will. I will be glad to finish up my
Thank you.
presentation. Okay. We, in summary, gentlemen, we have taken steps to try to work with the town, work with the town attorney, employ my client's modest resources. This is something that the Suffolk County Police Department has not been able to stop with their incredible budget. So I don't know how my clients can possibly stop the criminal element in this community alone, or this section of the community alone. I don't know that there's anything more that they can do, but we will listen to any suggestion to try to help. I have not seen, and when I talk about evidence, sir, I've seen the allegations against the two people named in the notice. Neither person has been convicted, so they're allegations. And to my knowledge, these allegations didn't happen within the four corners of my client's fenced-in property. But if it did happen within the four corners of his fenced-in property, I can assure all of you that my clients didn't participate, solicit, importune, turn their head to any of this conduct. So that is my presentation, and I thank you,
Thank you.
gentlemen, for your patience with me, sir.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? What's your question, Councilman Gregory?
You mentioned video cameras, but I don't see a quote. Are the video cameras there now? Are you looking to expand it?
No, sir, what attached to my exhibits in the letter that I sent are a series of photographs, and the exterior video cameras are all circled. Just last week, the Suffolk County Police Department, as they often do, came to my client and asked for the video surveillance of their store to help solve a crime. This is a common occurrence because my client is the one business owner that has the video cameras. So the police are aware of who my clients are, they're aware of what they've put in, they seek their help, and they receive their help on a consistent basis. Anything they need, they receive from us.
So is this, I know some systems are, like it stores the data for 30 days, some it
Yes.
takes over it every 24 hours, is there?
No, I believe it's stored for, is it stored for 30 days? It's a 30-day loop, right.
So with all the activity that's happened, your clients haven't had the opportunity to provide this video?
I'm sorry, we always, I'm sorry.
Wait. And if you're going to speak, you have to come up to the microphone, and you have to state your name and address for the record.
All right, so my name's Jose Urena. I'm one of the property owners. So I have other businesses also. I own the property there, but I have other businesses.
I'm sorry, wait, just clarify. You own
I
the,
own the property, correct.
and you own
I have other businesses. So,
other businesses
not in
there?
this area. I have one in Brentwood.
I'm sorry.
And one
So
in
you,
Riverhead.
you own that property, but you don't
Correct.
own this business that
Correct.
operates there?
Correct. I used to own the business.
Got it.
Okay. So normally when something happens, there's cameras on premise. It has happened dozens of times in this store, other stores. If something happens, police comes to us, the owner, the operator. They say, hey, we need video for, easy fix. They are let into the office. They send a team that normally does that. They get the evidence they need, and they walk away with what they need. And it's never been denied. Anything they need has always been there. So that's why we feel sometimes we're being singled out. But when something happens and they need the video, it's always there and it's always provided. So that's basically what I was saying.
Let me just ask, though, the property that you own is the building
The
where...
building with the parking lot going all the way back to Jackson.
Right, so you own the building where M&A operates out of,
Correct.
and you, just you, own the parking lot in the back that
The parking lot with the building.
Right, that exits out onto Jackson.
One of the,
So none of the other businesses or property owners own that parking lot?
my parking lot specifically, no, that's ours. And we have next door neighbors that also is the same type of business. Storefront in the back, parking lot in the back.
Correct.
Storefront in the front and parking lot in the back.
Right.
I can provide you with an overhead photograph.
No, I have it. I just wanted to hear from him what he thought he owned.
Okay. Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure. So, but you do own the parking lot in the back that exits out onto Jackson?
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Anything else from anybody?
Since you provided the video, your clients are aware of what's been going on.
Well, sir, what happens is, they're running a business, so it's not like they can post somebody outside. They've also, Jose would tell you the number of times he's called the police, had meetings with the
I'm
police.
not talking about posting people, I forgot how you worded it, but you implied that they may or may not be aware of what's going on, and then they can control on their four corners, and you needed data from the police to kind of verify?
What I meant with data from the police is, what are the police, how often are the police in the area? What would be necessary to supplement the police activity? You know, and the other thing is, I don't know how many arrests the police have made outside my client's place of business, how many arrests they've made in that specific area. I don't know statistically, is this the highest crime rate in Suffolk County, or is it, you know, the highest in Babylon? I'm not sure. And of the types of crimes, it seems to me that there's misdemeanor drug activity, drinking, there's people who are loitering. When I had a conversation with the town attorney, they told me that there's also a host of zoning law violations in the area and neighboring houses that they're trying to work on to clean up, and those people may be contributing to the problem. So I think that this is not something that one person can solve. It's something that a group needs to solve. And I'm willing to work with the town, and my clients are willing to work with the town. But what I'm saying is, I don't know that there's anything that they can implement in and of themselves. For example, in a footnote, I suggested, even if they had the money, and even if everybody contributed to a private security force, that private security force, I think, would ultimately have to call the police. They're not authorized to arrest somebody for a drug sale. And if Suffolk County Police Department police cars present in the area are not getting the appropriate response that we all want, right? My client doesn't want this blight near his place of business or near his property either. But if...
Why not?
Well, because he would like to be operating in an area that is, you know, inviting to customers rather than...
And I asked that specifically because in your initial words, in reference to the meeting with Mr. Rosario and Guarino, I'm sorry, you had mentioned, well, how can I help you with your problem? Like it's the town's problem. It's all of our problems, specifically his problem. He has to deal with it, should be dealing with it every day. So I think that how you approach it, the mindset and how you approach it can be a possible solution. If you don't think it's your problem and it's our problem, then we're not going to get anywhere. But if you see that it's our problem, that we can work together and collaborate and come up with a solution, I think we'll get further, make some progress on it.
Councilman Gregory, let me say this to you. If I misspoke or you interpreted, any councilman here interpreted my statements to suggest this is your problem, forgive me. We spent a great deal of time and effort to try to work with the town. We're willing to continue to do that. We're willing to contribute in any way because this would be beneficial to my client as well. But I think there's multiple factors going on, you know, that are taking place here that no one person can solve, and that's why I was agreed to meet with the town attorney representatives. And I have to tell you, I hope nobody believes that my meeting with Mr. Rosario was in any way, shape, or form anything but positive.
This sounds extreme. In my 7 years on the town board, I have never had a presentation where we are, you know, contemplating such a significant and serious act as this, and have a representative from this business or the property owner come across as so combative in nature. That's, you keep saying, oh, I don't mean to come across, but that's the way you're coming. We're all in shock and awe about the presentation. Usually a business owner gets this notice and they come down here and say, what do I need to do to improve the quality of life of the neighborhood?
That's what we did.
But you're coming up with zero, you came with zero solution.
Sir, the solution that I proposed was to try to...
Well, how much did you buy this building for? How much did your client buy the building
sir,
for? Because $15,000 compared to what he potentially could lose in losing the building does not make any sense from my perspective.
Sir, he can't afford $15,900 a month. He just can't. He's barely...
A month? They said 6 months.
6 months. So that's $30,000.
So try it for 6 months. I'm just very surprised by, you know, the approach here and the tenor and tone of this conversation.
I'm sorry that you feel that way. That is not my intent to be combative. My intent, though, is you have to understand, I'm sitting in the audience and I'm listening about claims that my clients are participating in some way in turning a blind eye to the behavior, or that it's their specific property that somehow is attracting a criminal element. That's just not the case, gentlemen. And that's not trying to be combative. I'm just trying to express the facts, and I am trying to explain to you that we did take the time to inquire about the solutions that were proposed to us from the town board, and we went farther than that. We wrote the police, called the police, asked them if they would consider installing the stanchion lighting system. My client cannot afford $32,000 a year for the stanchion system, and if he did, you know, I'd have to, he just can't afford it. And no one else is willing to contribute a nickel on that block. Not one other business owner, not Metro PCS, they're a huge corporation. Perhaps an attempt to solicit the corporation in good faith to give a grant to the town of Babylon to install some light stanchions and video cameras may be a mutually beneficial approach that would be reasonable. If we can't get the police department to do it, maybe a corporation like Metro PCS would consider doing it. My client doesn't have the money.
Are you finished?
Any other questions that anybody may
I'm sorry,
have?
are there any other questions? No, Supervisor. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Rosario, did you wanna
I appreciate
come
your
up?
time and effort.
Thank you. I think Councilman Mineta is correct that I think everybody's shocked at the tenor and demeanor of the presentation here today, because instead of, you know, counsel on behalf of his client coming here again, stating what they've done, simply just putting out there what they've done, their research and everything else, what I keep hearing is the blame is the inspector didn't get back to me, this one didn't get back to me, I didn't get information, and then asking for actual factual arrests or convictions, which actually, if the clients need to take a look at 165 of the town code, which speaks about nuisance notices. What is a nuisance? Something that attracts attention, anything that attracts criminality. We've met that burden. The burden is to arrest. However, at the last presentation, if the clients were here, they would recall that I brought out a litany of arrests that wasn't part of it, but I added it because we would know that would be the first thing that somebody says, well, you only have 2 arrests. So how can, you know, is this, as we heard, is this the highest crime in Suffolk County? We don't want any crime in Suffolk County. We don't want any crime in our town. We've proven the fact that this place meets the definition of a nuisance, and it does. And what should be happening, as Councilman Mineta well pointed out, is what is the cost to this business, even if it's $30,000 a year, which I'm sure they can write off on their taxes as a business expense. I mean, I'm not a tax guy, but I do know they can at least do that they put in that effort. What effort have they made, maybe besides going out and shooing a couple people away? The Suffolk County PD has been doing an excellent job of taking care of things there, but they need the help of the business owners. It's a partnership between the town, the Suffolk County PD, and as well as the business owner. If he asked for written, something in writing from the fire marshal, because maybe it wasn't good enough that he was informed that he can fence off the property. But again, it's let me deflect. And this is not a criminal case. We don't need a conviction. It's not beyond a reasonable doubt. We don't need all these things. We just need a partnership. Are you willing to partner? That's what I'm asking. Are you willing to partner? Then if you say you're willing to partner, we're going to go to those other businesses. You better be willing to partner.
Oh, wait, let's keep it to this subject.
My apologies.
No, just because, again, we're making a record. He's excited about going and filing an Article 78.
Yes.
Right? So that this can continue on and on and on. And I'd rather spend the time speaking to this specific notice
Yes.
for this public hearing, so that we can get to the bottom of this, and then the board can take an action one way or another.
And again, the record, I think, is clear on the last date, the many arrests.
You've clarified the
The
record.
many arrests. I won't waste any more of the board's
Thank you.
time, and I thank you, Supervisor.
Thank you. All right, so what I'm going to recommend to the board we do is, based on all the presentations here today, I'm going to ask that we adjourn this public hearing till May 21st at 3 p.m. I'm going to take a motion from Councilman Martinez to second that motion. All those in favor of adjourning to May 21st?
Aye.
Aye?
Forgive me for interrupting, but none of you probably want me here, but I am going to be out of the country on the 21st. So if you require my presence, could I ask that we pick a date in June? I'll be back in the country.
You're going to be out of the country.
I'll be in Portugal from the 6th.
How was the wedding, by the way?
The wedding was awesome. Thank
Okay,
you.
so we had a wedding, now we're going to Portugal.
My son got married, yes. it
Yes,
was
I know, that's
fantastic.
great.
Yep,
Congratulations.
in Virginia. Thank you very much.
I see what they're paying for, so,
Well, they're not paying for any of that. They haven't, but they have incurred legal expenses.
of course they've incurred legal
And
expenses.
unfortunately,
You're not doing this for free?
I am doing this in the hopes that we can reach a resolution, and I'm troubled by the...
Are you, let me ask you this, would you object if I met with your clients out at the property without you?
I would. I would prefer that I'm present at all meetings with my client, given the gravity of...
And why is that?
Why is what?
Why is that?
Because I would never let any one of my clients that I ever represent meet with anybody in a matter of this significance without my personal presence.
Okay.
It's nothing personal, it's just...
No, so you've got to be there, right? So what's your schedule for the next couple of weeks? When are you leaving the country?
I'm leaving the country on the 16th, and I will...
So you're here between now and May 16th?
I am, well, I'd have to check my schedule, but I am, yes, I'm not going to get on an airplane until Friday the 16th, correct?
Well, some of these meetings that I'm going to request that your presence at are going to take place on weekends and at night.
Okay.
So I don't think you'll have any interference with court dates that you've got.
Perhaps.
So I'm going to set up a schedule. If you want evidence, we're going to get you up. You're the attorney, right?
I am.
Okay. So I'm going to set you up a schedule.
Okay.
Between now and May 16th, and we're going to create the evidence that you want, meaning we're going to have the evidence by your personal appearance at the site with me and with some of our town staff, as well as your clients. And we're going to do that over the next, I guess that would be 3 weeks. And like I said, this is not going to be a 9 to 5 thing. So this is going to be 6 a.m. in the morning, 11 o'clock on a Friday night. We're going to get you all of the things that all of the people who live on Jackson Street are witnessing so that you can witness it. And then when we have the next public hearing, which will be the first meeting in June 4th, are you back in the country June 4th?
I am, sir, but I have been to the property personally myself.
You and I are going to go to the property.
You and I are going to go to the property.
And your clients.
Okay.
And I'm going to have a number of town staff. Yeah, so no, this is going to be my project for the next 3 or 4 weeks. Okay?
And what you could do then is please have the town attorney reach out to me with some proposed dates.
No. I'm going to email you what the dates are going to be.
Okay, sure. And
then we're going to be there. Now, if you're not there, listen.
Right.
Listen to me.
Sir, I am listening.
Okay?
I am listening.
So I'm going to spell all this out for you, and then you can object or not, but we are going to get you the data and the evidence that you requested. You've said on the record, and you said you're making a record, correct?
Correct, I am.
So for the June 4th meeting, we're going to have a record to be made.
Sir, I'm not asking for things in the future that may or may not occur. What I'm asking,
No.
What I'm asking for is a common courtesy. The investigator said that he made certain observations, that he's recorded things, he received pictures.
Yeah, you're gonna get all that.
I'm just asking for that.
You're gonna-
I don't need to go to visit the site at 11 o'clock at night.
Yes, you do.
I
Yes,
don't.
you do. Yes, you do.
Sir.
And if you say it again for the record, we'll make sure that that comes up in court. Yes, you do need to visit it.
Well, first of all,
Listen, Mr. Grandinetti.
What? Yes.
You need to visit it. And you need to visit it at all different hours of the day and night.
Sir,
and, and we're going to do that.
Sir, my client owns the building.
Yes, I
my
know you.
client has seen the building at 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning, 12 at night, 11 at night.
I know he
He's
is.
informed me of what happens, and he's reported.
Well, listen, you can show up or not, okay?
Okay.
You can show up or not.
Listen, out of respect for members of this council, I'll show up. But, you know, I just asked for a little bit of notice. I don't know.
No, you're
that-
going to get notice.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
you're gonna get
you know,
notice.
I don't know that I necessarily can make every appointment, or if it's midnight,
You don't
that's
have,
past
you
my
don't,
bedtime.
You don't have to make every
Okay.
appointment. I'm just, again, I asked you if you don't want, now if I happen to bump into your client there when I'm there at midnight, am I allowed to speak to him?
Sir, what I'm saying to you about not meeting my client in a private meeting with members of the town and the town attorney, given the severity of what the allegations are or could lead to, I am asking you please not to meet him without my being present. If you run into my client on the street, in the neighborhood, feel free to engage them. They're both wonderful individuals. I'm sure
Yeah,
they'll
I met them
communicate
after the
with
last
you.
meeting.
Yeah, they're very nice gentlemen.
Yep, so we'll send you a schedule.
Okay.
We'll get you all the data and the evidence that you need. We'll get you all of the previous evidence that you've asked for. You have the information that you needed for through the notice that we served in order to cause this public hearing. As Mr. Rosario stated, reread the section of the code.
I just have the violation. That's all I have.
That's what you need.
Okay, that's all I have.
Right, and now we're going to get you a whole lot more.
Okay.
All right.
I wouldn't mind having a meeting with your investigators and town attorney to go over it with them, and so they could explain to me what they're
You're
observing.
always good at bringing up the thing I want you to say at the beginning, at the end.
Sir,
You're-
I've said...
You are so good at this.
I've said that. I've said that. I have met, we have made
No,
time.
I know that,
I've
but you're
reached out.
always good at, like, it's so funny. But it's good, it's good, I get it.
I'm sorry, but I
Did you know Jack Braslow?
I know Jack Braslow very well.
I mean, he passed away a couple years ago,
yes,
but
wonderful judge.
Jack would call it a shtick.
It's, you know, sir, with all due respect, I don't have a shtick. I have a job to do and defend
Yes,
my
you do.
client, and I'm
you're doing
trying
it
to.
well.
I'm trying to communicate. You know, I really took a lot of time to get these letters together, to submit
Mm-hmm.
things to you, to show you that we wanted to work with you,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm a little bit confused as to why you don't interpret it
We will
as
unconfuse
goodwill.
you. We will unconfuse you. I heard you today. We will unconfuse you and be ready to work for the next 3 weeks before you go to Portugal.
Well, I'm not, sir, you can send me the email and I'll attempt.
No. I'm just saying you can respond and say, no, I'm not available this time or this time. But we're going to have, again, you've requested the data and the information. We're going to get everything we have, and we're going to have a whole lot more. Because again, the reason why this is being considered is because we have we've met the requirements of the code. We're conducting the public hearing.
Right.
The nuisance is ongoing.
Okay.
It's continuing, right?
You're telling me that, yes. And I have, listen, I have no...
Your client has probably told, the nuisance is continuing. So again,
I have no doubt that that this activity has been in the community for however long my client has owned the business, because he's told me he constantly calls the police and they told him stop calling.
Right.
But notwithstanding
the
that,
police told
I don't know.
him to stop calling.
The police told my
Told
client...
told
they-
him to stop.
They do
calling.
not have enough resources to address the problem. Yes, he's visited the precinct, he's spoken to them.
Okay.
And if I'm incorrect, I think that the police department has probably expressed the same thing here. The sergeant who was here said that they lacked the resources necessary.
But again, the four corners of your client's property.
Four corners of my property, yes.
Of your client's
Four corners of my
property.
client's property, yes.
That's it. That's what this is about, the four corners of your client's property.
I think it's more than that. I think it's...
No, the subject of the hearing.
The subject of the hearing may be, but from
And the resolution lies within the four corners
I
of
disagree.
your client's property.
Respectfully, I disagree. with
Okay,
you.
and we can disagree
yeah,
about that.
Yeah, I think that the problem emanates from demographics, from people in the community. People have absolutely nothing to do with my client's property or my client's business. The lawyerers, the criminals, the people who are violating the law, they're not associated with my client in any way, shape, or form. And he's not trying to create an environment.
But they're on his property.
When you say on the property, sir, there are people outside.
Well,
the
we're going to
fence.
see that when you and I go there.
Okay. I
Okay.
see people on the sidewalk,
When you and I,
but my client doesn't necessarily have jurisdiction to get people off the sidewalk.
we
okay?
are going to go there,
Okay.
and we are going to see exactly what's going on. Okay?
Understood.
All right, so,
One last question.
yeah, sure, but
One
this
last
is
question.
adjourned, and we're going to adjourn this until June 4th. So I'm going to amend the motion, and we're going to adjourn this till June 4th, seconded by Councilman Martinez. And that's at 3 p.m.? At 3 p.m. All those in favor?
Aye.
The amendment, all those opposed? Okay. So the motion to adjourn is until June 4th at the request of the property owner's attorney at 3 p.m. here. And one question, yes.
Councilman Gregory, you had a question?
So the owners, the present owner now bought the property in 2022?
I'd have to check.
So was he a part of any entity, ownership, LLC, or anything else prior to that, that were
At that
owners of the property?
location?
Yeah. Yes. Okay.
A follow-up. For how long?
Sure.
2021 till 2022.
Any other questions?
Nope, thank you.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, thank you.
Have a pleasant day.
All right, we'll go into the agenda. I don't have any cards on the agenda, so I'll take a motion on the consensus resolution agenda. Are there any items that need to be removed from the consensus resolution agenda? Negative. Seeing none, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second?
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Consensus resolution is approved. We'll go to the resolution agenda for today. I've got Resolution 326.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Would the clerk call the roll?
Councilman Mineta.
Yes.
Councilman Martinez.
Yes.
Councilman McSweeney.
Yes.
Councilman Gregory.
Yes.
Supervisor Schaefer.
Yes, resolution's approved, 5 votes in favor, 0 opposed. Resolution 327.
I'll offer Resolution 327. Second.
Would the clerk call the roll?
Councilman Mineta.
Yes.
Councilman Martinez.
Yes.
Councilman McSweeney.
Yes.
Councilman Gregory.
Yes.
Supervisor Schaefer.
And I abstain. Resolution's approved, 4 votes in favor, 1 abstention. Resolution 328.
I offer Resolution 328.
Second.
Would the clerk call the roll?
Councilman Mineta.
Abstain.
Councilman Martinez.
Yes.
Councilman McSweeney.
Yes.
Councilman Gregory.
Yes.
Supervisor Schaefer.
Yes, resolution's approved, 4 votes in favor, 1 abstention. Resolution 329.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Resolution's approved. I'll make a motion to table Resolution 243 until June 4th.
I second that motion.
Second by Councilman Martinez. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That resolution is tabled to June 4th. That's it for the resolutions. We'll go to the open portion, and we have Maddie, who has been waiting patiently. Maddie, just give us your name and address.
Sure thing. My name is Matty Bucky's Highland. My address is 1297 Shaw Place in Seaford, New York, in the town of Hempstead, and I'm an advocate for people with developmental disabilities. For my brief public comment portion, I do want to talk about, I go to this program at the Winter Center for Autism in West Babylon, which they do a great job, by the way.
Do you know Christine?
Yes, Ponzio, yes, town of yep.
She's terrific.
She's terrific. Yeah, I know. She lives in the town of Islip. You can notice on the town of Islip there's blue street signs. Yeah. But anyway, thank you for what all you do for these young men and women. It's not easy. In 1990, former President George H.W. Bush signed the Americans with Disabilities Act to prohibit discrimination against people who have disabilities. But there's so much work to do, and I applaud the town, and especially its deputy clerk over there, for doing a great job for what you guys are doing. Please keep up the good work. I know it's in legislative Jason Richburg's district, so we'll keep that in mind. So with that being said, please, God bless you. Have a great Autism Awareness Month, and thank you very much.
Maddie, would you say hello to Christine for us?
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Supervisor.
Thank you. And just so you know, we work very closely with the center, and in fact, several of the students who've gone to the center have either been hired or recommended to other municipalities, because I brought Christine to meet all the other town supervisors.
Absolutely. I would not be surprised if, Angie Carpenter in Islip hires people with disabilities as well.
She did, and Dan Panico, who is the supervisor of Brookhaven. And who's the gentleman with you?
Oh, that's a contact worker of mine.
My name is Joe Simone. I'm Commissioner of Sanitation in Oceanside. Retired. I work with disabled adults.
And they help you through the sanitation district?
No, I hired two, though. I did hire two. I hired two, autistic adults, and they work for us. One is secretary. She does the time cards and everything. And there's another young man that drives and, loads, and he's really good.
And what's your last name?
Simols.
Simols.
Yeah, my son's autistic, so it's been a big thing of mine. I've always worked with the autistic
Well, thank
community.
you for what you do.
Yeah, and I like, Maddie's a good boy. I like looking out for him.
Maddie seems like a terrific young man.
I try to just stay in the background, make sure he's okay.
But thank you very much.
Thank you.
Jerry Orbach on Law and Order right now.
That's my favorite detective. All right, anybody else wishing to address the board? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to adjourn from Councilman Mineta, second by Councilman Martinez. All those in favor? Opposed? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you. Jerry, guys, come on up here for a second. No, you can have it. Thank you. Did you have it? Did you get everything, Jen, that he handed up? Yeah. Okay. Come on. Where's